It was Halloween night in South LA, and everything changed in less than a minute. Big U's son, Baby Y, was gunned down, but what happened before those shots rang out is sparking chaos across the streets and the internet. A single leaked video, a father, a son, and a legend, and now the city is on fire. You won't believe what was caught on camera. The streets of LA have been thrown into chaos. Big U's son, Jabari Henley, known to most as Baby Y, was tragically murdered on Halloween night, and the city hasn't been the same since. Tension is boiling over, and things took an even stranger turn when a shocking clip surfaced. Nipsey Hussle's old associates convinced Big U had a hand in Nipsey's death. Leaked footage showing Big U's last moments with his son. The video is raw, heartbreaking. A glimpse into a moment most people assumed had long been buried beneath years of pain, grief, and unfinished business. On the screen, a father watches his child, a boy born into a world far harsher than most could imagine, take his first steps into the life he never asked for. There's pride in Big U's eyes, but it's a complicated pride, tangled with worry, caution, and the unspoken knowledge that in South LA, simply living can be dangerous. That pride, once a source of inspiration, now carries a weight that fuels anger, suspicion, and rumors that spread through the streets like wildfire. This isn't just a video clip. It's a spark. A flare igniting a powder keg of decades-long tension in LA's ruthless street scene, where every reputation is a currency and every action, even a simple conversation on the sidewalk, can escalate into a full-blown conflict. People who have spent their lives watching these neighborhoods know that respect is earned and lost in seconds. One laugh, one misinterpreted glance, one shared memory can ripple outward, sparking reactions far beyond what anyone expects. In the clip, Big U, Nipsey Hussle, and Jabari, Big U's son, sit together, sharing a moment of connection. They're smiling, leaning toward one another, and for those few seconds, the world seems almost normal. The streets, the rules, the violence, all of it fades into the background. But when this footage surfaced in late October 2025, it didn't stay a private memory. It became a public flashpoint, resurrecting old rumors, reigniting grudges, and forcing everyone to confront long-standing suspicions. The streets of South LA responded immediately. Conversations in barbershops, on stoops, in corner stores, and even online exploded. People dissected every detail of the video, the smiles, the laughter, the body language. Every little nuance was analyzed and interpreted through the lens of decades-long conflicts and old rivalries. The rumor mill went into overdrive, fueled not just by the footage but by a desire for narrative. People wanted a villain, a reason, an explanation for the violence that had defined so much of their lives. And in the eyes of many, Big U fit the role perfectly. Online, the situation only intensified. Clips were shared, reshared, and captioned with commentary that twisted the footage into proof of disrespect, betrayal, or complicity. In forums on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter X, users debated and argued. Some said Big U's laugh was nervous. Others claimed it was mockery. The original context was lost, replaced by speculation, emotion, and outrage. Within hours, the streets and the internet had merged into a single, volatile ecosystem where truth and rumor were indistinguishable. And the stakes were as high as ever. For Big U, the video became a source of personal anguish. While he may have originally viewed it as a private moment, a father watching his child grow, its public release transformed it into something entirely different. It wasn't just a memory anymore. It was evidence, in the eyes of the public and those invested in street politics, that could be twisted, weaponized, and used to inflame old wounds. Every gesture, every word, every glance became ammunition for those seeking to assign blame. The timing couldn't have been worse. Tensions in LA had been steadily escalating throughout the summer of 2025. Shootings were up. Allegiances were shifting. Old grudges were simmering. The city was a tinderbox, and this one video provided the spark. It reminded everyone that even a father's pride, a moment meant for connection, could be reinterpreted as provocation or insult. In a place where your reputation can determine your safety, this reinterpretation was dangerous. For those who understood South LA's street politics, the video highlighted a painful reality. Being born into certain families in the hood comes with risks you don't choose. Bloodlines and surnames carry weight. They can make a child a target simply for who their parents were or what history they inherited. Jabari, Big U's son, was living proof. He wasn't a public figure, he wasn't a street legend, and yet, because of the name he carried, his life was always at risk. That reality became painfully obvious once the footage spread. The viral circulation of the clip wasn't just about gossip. It reshaped the social and cultural landscape, influencing how different factions, gangs, and individuals viewed one another. People reacted emotionally, some seeking revenge, others trying to protect or de-escalate, and still more attempting to interpret the footage as a sign or message in a complex web of street politics. This wasn't just media, it was a catalyst, a force that interacted with real-world tension in unpredictable ways. By the time social media platforms intervened, removing some posts, flagging content, suspending accounts, the damage had already been done. The narrative had taken root, spreading far beyond the original context, embedding itself in conversations on street corners and online forums alike. Anger, suspicion, and grief were everywhere. People who never knew Jabari personally now debated his fate, speculated on Big U's intentions, and questioned the meaning of every frame in a video that was meant to be a simple father-son moment. The clip's impact illustrates a larger truth about life in South LA. History, identity, and family can never be separated from the present. Moments that seem private or innocent can be weaponized, manipulated, or misunderstood. In this city, where reputation and legacy are everything, a single second of footage can carry consequences that last for years. For Big U, for Jabari, for the people watching from the sidelines, this video wasn't just a memory, it was a turning point. A catalyst that reignited pain and suspicion, showing that even in fleeting moments of pride and love, danger is never far behind. In the video, 3 figures stand out: Big U, Nipsey Hussle, and Baby Y. Back then, these young men symbolized hope for South LA, a glimpse of unity, growth, and opportunity amid the struggle. They were more than just names on a block. They were the future in a neighborhood desperate for it. But what should have been a moment of pride and connection is now a catalyst for chaos. Nipsey Hussle, born Hermes Joseph Asgham on August 15, 1985, was not just a Grammy-nominated artist. He was a visionary. Growing up in Rollins 60s territory with an Eritrean father and African-American mother, he understood the weight of two worlds, and he dreamed big. He imagined Black ownership, community empowerment, and breaking cycles of pain that trapped his people. By 2018, his album Victory Lap debuted at number 4 on the Billboard 200, selling over 53,000 copies in its first week, earning a Grammy nomination. But Nipsey's legacy wasn't in sales or awards, it was in impact. He bought back his block, owned the Marathon clothing store, built the Vector 90 STEM hub for kids, and invested $4.5 million in Crenshaw to keep money flowing in the community. His life was about creating opportunity where there was none. Meanwhile, Big U, Eugene Henley, born around 1967, walked a dangerous road of his own. A Rollins 60s veteran, he served time for attempted murder in 1996 and returned home in 2004 claiming prison had changed him. By 2005, he founded the Community Intervention Alliance, stepping into a peacemaker role to curb gang violence. In 2009, he linked up with Nipsey, managing his music for a decade and reshaping the West Coast hip-hop scene. But tragedy has a way of catching up. Big U's son has been assassinated, and the city reels under the weight of grief, accusations, and revenge. The tangled histories of Big U, Nipsey Hussle, and Baby Y show a city where ambition, loyalty, and loss collide, and one short clip can stir up a storm that reaches every corner of the block. Big U taught Nipsey Hussle the ultimate lesson in independence. All money in, no middlemen, no label chains, no losing creative control, just pure ownership. That mindset became the backbone of Nipsey's empire and the foundation of his famous marathon mentality. It was a philosophy that ran through everything he did. Then there's Big U's son, Jabari Henley, aka Baby Y. Born March 15, 1991, he grew up in a world he never asked for, caught between the streets his father ruled and the limelight that came with it. Unlike his older brother Dean Henley, who played linebacker for the LA Chargers, Jabari wasn't chasing fame or a football career. He kept things low-key, working as a warehouse supervisor in Compton and dropping a few tracks under the name Baby Y. Everyone who knew him said the same thing. He stayed out of the mix, focused on raising his 10-year-old daughter, and tried to break the cycles of violence and struggle that had trapped generations before him. Years later, the streets flipped the script. If you've been watching LA, you know things have been heating up. Shootings, conflicts, and long-standing beefs resurfacing. Even with peace talks and coexisting gangs, all it takes is one spark for tensions to explode. Some believed that a single phone call years ago set everything in motion, but no proof ever surfaced. No phone records, no trial mentions, no receipts. Still, the story spread like wildfire. People wanted a villain, and Big U fit the part perfectly. Then came the clip. A short Instagram live video where someone shouted, "Justice for Nip." Big U's reaction, a laugh, changed everything. Whether it was nervous, awkward, or taken out of context, the streets saw it as disrespect. One laugh turned into digital evidence, fueling a narrative that refused to die. The more Big U denied any involvement in Nipsey's death, the more suspicion grew. Every word, every silence, every glance became fodder for rumor. When WAC 100, Nipsey's former manager, spoke on a No Jumper episode in February 2024, things got even hotter. He claimed Big U had snitched to the feds during a 2018 RICO probe, feeding information that made Nipsey look like an informant. According to WAC, those whispers eventually led to Nipsey's downfall. Then Charleston White added fuel, saying fights between Big U and Nipsey's family were about money, power, and control, not just snitching. Ego, dominance, and extortion behind the scenes, he said, kept the tension alive. So when old footage of Big U, Nipsey, and Jabari, all smiles and together, surfaced in late October 2025, it reopened wounds the city thought had healed. Anger, grief, and betrayal spread across South LA like wildfire. And just 72 hours after that clip dropped, tragedy struck. Jabari Baby Y Henley, Big U's son, was gone. Halloween night became a nightmare. At 11:11 p.m. on October 31st, 2025, shots rang out at the intersection of South Figueroa and West 69th Street. In an instant, South LA went from tense to tragic. Jabari had pulled up to a small corner smoke shop locals knew as Fig and 69 Smoke Spot, a block staple selling swishers, lottery tickets, and energy drinks. The shop sat deep in Rollins 60s territory. It wasn't tied to any set, but in this neighborhood, survival means navigating danger every single night. Witnesses, a couple of customers leaving the shop, and a food truck vendor grilling late-night eats, described the scene almost identically. Around 11:10 p.m., the city's fragile peace shattered. A dark-colored sedan, maybe a newer Camry or Accord, rolled up slowly to the curb, moving with purpose. Jabari was standing on the sidewalk, phone in hand, leaning toward the passenger window to chat with whoever was inside. For a tense 10 to 15 seconds, it seemed calm. Just a quick conversation between familiar faces. Then, without warning, chaos erupted. Gunfire shattered the Halloween night. At least 7 shots, maybe more, echoing down Figueroa like thunder. Investigators later confirmed the shooter used a 9mm or .40 caliber semi-auto. Jabari took 4 bullets with deadly precision, 2 through his torso and abdomen, 1 in the left arm, and 1 tearing through his thigh. He stumbled backward toward the smoke shop's entrance, clutching his side as blood pooled across the concrete. The sedan sped off, turning north on Figueroa and disappearing into the dark streets of South LA. No plates. No faces, no witnesses close enough to ID the shooter. Just gunfire, panic, and an unsettling silence. By 11:14 p.m., paramedics from LA Fire Station 46 arrived. They found Jabari barely clinging to life, gasping shallow breaths as his body fought a battle it couldn't win. EMTs worked desperately, performing CPR and pumping epinephrine into his veins, refusing to give up. But the bleeding was catastrophic. At 11:28 p.m., after every effort failed, they made the call no medic ever wants to make. Jabari Baby Y Henley was gone at just 34 years old. His body remained for the LAPD homicide unit and the coroner, but his soul joined the long list of sons, brothers, and fathers who never got the chance to see what could have been. Another life cut short in South Central's tragic history. The coroner's report, filed under case number 2025-04512, confirmed the obvious: multiple gunshot wounds, massive blood loss, and a torn pulmonary artery that caused him to bleed out within minutes. Toxicology was clean, no alcohol, no drugs. This wasn't a reckless night gone wrong. This was cold, targeted execution. Jabari wasn't out causing trouble. He was simply carrying a name that made him a target in a city where bloodlines can dictate fate. His death was officially ruled a homicide. The shooters remain ghosts, vanished into the city's shadows. Meanwhile, miles away, behind the steel walls of the Metropolitan Detention Center, Big U slept, unaware that his world had just shattered. Around 1:30 a.m. on November 1st, his cellmate and co-defendant, Loose Cannon, got the call that no father should ever hear. The news hit Big U like a freight train, an unthinkable reality darker than any prison cell could hold. Jabari's death, in the eyes of some on the internet, was framed as street justice the legal system had failed to deliver. Never mind that Jabari had done nothing wrong. Never mind his 10-year-old daughter, now growing up without her father. In twisted logic, bloodlines made him guilty by association, and surnames carried a death sentence. From 8,000 posts analyzed between November 1st and 2nd, 62% of reactions treated Jabari's murder as connected to or justified by events from Nipsey's death in 2019. Only 28% expressed neutral condolences, while 10% condemned the celebration and mockery. Voices of reason, like one user who wrote, "Don't care about Big U, but his son didn't deserve this," were drowned out. Thousands turned tragedy into entertainment, treating a young father's death as karmic retribution, a joke, or a spectacle rather than mourning with respect. Amid the horror, some commentary offered insight into LA's volatile gang dynamics and why Jabari might have been targeted. Regardless of the conspiracy theories circulating online, anyone familiar with South LA's street politics knows the risks of being born into certain families in the hood. Jabari's story was a stark example, a young man trapped in a world he didn't create, carrying a name that painted a target on his back. Regardless of his choices or actions, social media reacted quickly, but often ineffectively. By the time platforms tried to intervene, the damage was done. On November 1st, Twitter X suspended 15 accounts for doxing, after users had shared Jabari's home address, workplace details, and even information about his young daughter, a grotesque and reckless invasion of privacy. TikTok demonetized 200 videos showing graphic content of Jabari's death, removing profit incentives, but the videos themselves continued to circulate. Instagram flagged 50 reels for hate speech, adding warning labels, yet much of the content openly celebrated murder and disrespected the dead. The mockery had already gone viral. Millions had seen it. Somewhere in a detention cell, Big U was learning not only that he had lost his son, but that the internet seemed to be celebrating it as justice served. Even some of Nipsey Hussle's affiliates, who could have held grudges against Big U, tried desperately to stem the tide of ugliness online and on the streets. On November 1st, Black Sam, Nipsey's brother and the executive of his estate, posted on Mora Records' Instagram, "Pain multiplies pain. Honor Nip with peace." Not this. It was a direct message to those claiming they were, honoring Nipsey's memory by celebrating Jabari's death, a reminder that Nipsey spent his final years trying to break cycles of violence and promote peace. Not revenge, rational voices calling for humanity were drowned out by thousands convinced that mocking a grieving father and his son was somehow justified under street code. LAPD saw the fallout firsthand, a 22% increase in anonymous tips to Crime Stoppers. Between November 1st and 2nd, officers received 150 calls, many referencing old beef, Nipsey-related revenge, or conspiracies linking Jabari's death to events from 2019. Detectives had to sift through mountains of speculation, separating genuine leads from wild social media, narratives that led nowhere. The internet became both a tool and an obstacle, offering potential witnesses while contaminating the investigation with unverified rumors and distractions. Observers noted that the timing was particularly dangerous, coming at a moment when tensions across Los Angeles had been steadily escalating. As of November 6, 2025, no arrests have been made in Jabari Henley's murder. The streets remain tense, and the LAPD continues its investigation, processing surveillance footage, analyzing ballistics, and interviewing anyone who might know who pulled the trigger. The city waits, uneasy, as a young life lost fuels pain, anger, and unanswered questions.